I'm Becky Fawcett, and welcome to the Fawcett Report. Podcast rulebooks say you have to have the same introduction for every podcast, and today I'm doing something drastically different. I'm going to tell you that when people meet me for the first time, they tend to write my story in their head. So depending on the day, I've been mistaken for a fashion stylist, a professional dog walker, a jewelry designer, and even a country club wife. But if you really want to know, because I'm none of those, except maybe a professional dog walker at this point. But if you really want to know who I am deep down inside, the headline is very simple. I'm Jane and Brooke's mom, and I am a mom through adoption. Welcome to my podcast, The Fawcett Report. And today we are going to do something really interesting. And I'm so excited about my guest today. And he said yes as soon as I asked him. So if you know me, you're going to know this. And if you don't, this is what makes knowing me fun. I've gained a reputation in my life of saying the words that no one wants to say and talking about the things that no one wants to talk about. Some people find that amusing. Other people cross the street now when they see me coming, but it's who I am. And now when I really sat down to think about the Mac Daddy of the words that really sends people over the edge, it's money. And I started to think about why is that? And it's a twofold problem. Because you need money to exist. It's like food. You need it every day. You need it from start to finish in that place you live, everything. And if you don't have a healthy relationship with food or money, these present problems. And not talking about it is the second fold because it just perpetuates this crazy thing that we're not allowed to even talk about money, and the next generation is going to follow suit. So, our guest today manages over $1 billion. So now we're really going to talk about money in client assets, but he is not your typical Wall Street guy, which is why he's my friend. In fact, he literally wrote the book called Getting Off Wall Street. As the senior vice president and financial advisor leading the Massimo Anastasian team at Wealth Enhancement Group, he acts as a personal CFO for high net worth families. He believes that true wealth planning is about people and purpose. I agree with that, not just financial products. He unpacks this philosophy in his latest book, The Kindness Portfolio. And he's just, I hate to say it, but like you're just a great all-around human. You're an expert in navigating massive life transitions, which everybody has all the time, and helps people with everything connected with money and how to live and college and retirement and all these things. And we're going to talk, people cross the street when they see him coming too.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show, Charlie Massimo.
Becky, thanks so much. I don't know where I go after that buildup, but I truly appreciate it. And it's very difficult to say no to you after knowing you the way I do and all the things you've done.
Thank you so much. It really hit me. I think I was in advertising sales and early in my career. I don't really care about talking about money that way. I've always been just transparent, but I think it hit me when my kids were a little younger. They're 16 and 20 now, but I'm sure Jane said it maybe when she was like 10. And she goes, Mom, you tell us not to talk about money, and all you do all day long at helpusadopt.org is talk about money. And I'm like, oh my God. And I go, well, Jane, thank you once again for being smarter than I am, which is usually the goal with your kids, right?
Yeah,
You want them to
exactly.
be smarter than you are.
Right.
And I'm like, let me unpack this, right? Like I talk about money, raising money at helpusadopt.org on how it's powerful and can make the world a better place. And I go, Jane, I'm not walking down the street and telling someone how much my shoes cost or didn't cost or, you know, how much I spent on dinner or how much do they have in their wallet. I said, there's a different level, I think, of being polite and respectful and then just not talking about money at all. I told you that as a nonprofit CEO, when people see me coming, they're like, don't talk to her. She's going to, quote, shake you down for money, which is, I think, the terrible reputation that nonprofits have gained. The funny thing about me is I don't really ask for money. I ask people to listen to the story and get involved in something meaningful. And you said, I'm already in. I don't need to hear the rest of this pitch because people think the same about you as a financial advisor when, let's face facts, everybody needs some financial advising help at some point. So go. Tell me why people cross the street when you are walking down.
Yeah, so I have some real thoughts about this, obviously. And Money is the last taboo. We'll talk about our health, our marriages, even politics,
Yeah.
but money stays behind a locked door. And I believe the fear isn't about the dollars, it's about judgment. Money seems to be a mirror, and most people are afraid of what it reflects back about their choices and their worth. And my whole job, and certainly your job, is making it safe to look at. And it is true, you and I kind of walk in the room and we're already convicted. One's going to ask for a check, the other's going to sell a product, at least in their mind.
Yeah.
And that assumption ends the relationship before it sometimes begins. And you really can't help someone, at least from my perspective, you can't help someone you're not actually allowed to know.
Yeah.
So the guard doesn't protect them from a bad actor, it protects them from being helped.
I never understand it because, I mean, unless you have a financial background and a financial education and experience, because even the financial education doesn't necessarily mean you know how to navigate the market and investing. You have to have experience in this.
Sure.
So people do need to talk to you. I remember when I was very young, I bought my house. I'd just been married. So it was probably like 1998. And my across the street neighbor was so nice. And he said, my son is just starting a job at, I forget where it was, some big, or not like your company, but a big financial place. Like he was going to be a 22-year-old financial advisor. And he said, you don't have to use him, but can he walk you through his pitch? And I said, sure. Like, I'll do that for you. That's fine. But I got to tell you something. So I went into it completely thinking, I don't need this. I have no money. I was like 28 maybe at the time or whatever. But the worksheet he gave us, we actually did. And it was eye-opening because we were spending way too much money on dining out. We were spending more than our mortgage on dining out and going out on the weekends. And because I don't cook. So it was eye-opening. And we didn't need a financial planner at that point because we, again, had no money. But I was so grateful to have gone through that process because we had no idea what we were doing, spending. It didn't even cross our minds. We knew we had no money at the end of the paycheck, but we didn't know why. And the why was a controllable factor. It was not a good factor either because no one needs at 28 to be spending that much money on going out and drinking. But it makes you exposed, Charlie. It
makes you-
exposes bad habits and guilty pleasures maybe and not great decisions.
Becky, you've hit it on the head. And a lot of people don't want to talk about money because they don't want to face the facts. It's like the person that says, I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't want to know what's wrong.
Yeah.
And the planning is the same thing. People just, especially when the older we get, we're embarrassed if we didn't save enough, or if we look at our neighbors and say, wow, look what they have. Why don't I have it? So you're right. That's why I said it's like a mirror because it exposes the good and bad. So people just unfortunately put it off to their own detriment until it's too late to kind of turn back and figure it out.
So how do you get people to understand that? I mean, I think some people innately know, listen, if you have a ton of money, I guess you know you need to someone. But let's talk about the normal person in this world, okay? Like the normal person, how do they feel not judged to come to someone like you? I mean, because listen, there's more normal people than there are extremely wealthy people, I would imagine. And they make great clients too because they need help too. And they have to retire too. And they have to send kids to college too. And all these things.
Yeah. I think what you have to do is what I try to do is I have to put their guard down right away. Sometimes it's 30 to 45 minutes in the first meeting with a prospective client. I don't even talk about money at all. I ask about their family, what keeps them up at night, what they're proud of. The moment someone realizes you're curious about them and not their balance sheet, the temperature really changes. One of the great questions I ask people is, what do you hope your money makes possible, not just for you, but for those that come after you? And that changes the conversation right away.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to do.
It's interesting. I mean, my kids, your kids are growing up in a really tough world right now. It is tough. And I even just heard, I was getting ready for work, not really paying attention to the news, but I heard more college graduates are living at home than ever, more blah, 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 blah. And I think that's hard. I think it is changed. I think expenses are crazy, but these kids still, they need hope because it will, I don't know, balance out again. But there's no choice but to keep going, right? And so, how do you tell these kids too? Like, the parents are having their kids at home longer. Maybe college is taking longer, everything. Like, how do we all protect? Are there good things to think about and give these kids hope? And parents who are like, why do I still have this kid in my house? Like, oh my God. But it happens more often than not.
Yeah. It's a great point. You said it earlier on. It's kind of starts and ends with the family. So sometimes family thinks money is a one-time conversation. It's not a one-time conversation. It's an ongoing
Mhm.
conversation because to your point, you have to talk to them about good habits and bad habits. Even
Mhm.
if the parents themselves had bad habits, they should learn for those. But how do you give the younger generation hope? You let them know that the greatest asset you have as an investor is time,
Yeah.
the greatest asset. And just to sometimes, as much as I don't like to look at numbers when I'm talking the first time, but if I sit with a 25-year-old, as I do with my daughter, and she
Hmm.
beats me up all the time for making her take money out of her check and put into her brokerage
Yeah.
account. But I'm like, Elena, let me just sit you down. You're 25 years old. If you continue this until you're 65, you will have a financially secure retirement. Now that seems like a long runway.
Yeah.
You have to make them realize these things happen very,
Oh
very,
my God.
very
Before you
quickly.
know it.
Yeah.
You
So you
guys
have to
should
give them
have a
hope and
road
time.
show, the two of you. I mean, so there's two things I want to say. This is where, so my podcast, All Roads Have to Lead to Help Us Adopt somehow. And
Right.
it's funny how you say money's an ongoing conversation. People say the same thing about adoption. They're like, why do you keep talking about it so much? Your kids, they were adopted. It's over. It was in court. I'm like, that act of the judge hitting the gavel, that was done. But they will always be adopted. It's an evolving story. It's a family story. It all goes hand in hand. Like,
Yeah.
I will always be a mom by adoption. It's not a bad thing. It's just you can't change these things in life. So, very interesting how you grab the bull. I like to grab the bull by the horns on these stories.
You
Um,
have to shake them sometimes, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But what I tell my kids is this, like, listen, I wish I could practice what I preach. I do have a little problem with clothes and all that kind of stuff, and it's bad. I know it. And it does make me feel guilty sometimes when I look at my closet and think that this was not very responsible. But that all said, this swiping on the phone is the worst thing these kids could ever have in their life. They have no idea how much money they're spending. They're spending $15 every 2 seconds at Starbucks. And I tell my kids, like, I do give them money for like food and whatever, but I don't give them like $100 at a time. I give them what they need for the day. And yeah, that
Mhm.
causes me a lot more detail crap of Apple caching, but I make them ask for it. I make them tell me what they're using the money for, and not to like shame them, but to make them think about it. And sometimes I say, I'm not paying for that. That's on you. But I tell my kids they should live a cash life. These
Yeah.
kids have no clue what they're spending. And
Yeah.
then it adds up so fast. And then
Yeah.
you can get any kind of credit card you want in 30 seconds with some big crazy limit. And how do we help kids avoid that? Because I don't know that swiping's leaving the world. I mean, it's
Yeah.
tricky.
Becky, it's such a great point you bring up. A lot of times when we talk to our families about how do we teach your children, to your point, don't give them a credit card.
Mm-mm.
There's no emotional attachment between a credit card and their money. They can't relate. But when you have to physically take the money out of your account, out of your bank account, now there's an emotional attachment.
Mhm.
And again, going back to my daughter, she bought a car the other day, and I'm so proud of her because it all came out of her savings. But as she's writing the check, she's saying, wow, I cannot do this. I cannot afford it. And we had that conversation, but she really, that's the first time she felt the value of money. And that was a lesson for her. And she goes, wow, I need to really cut back on other things so I can afford my car. Because to her, a car is a priority. Right. So, yeah, I think the swiping, the cards are such a bad lesson to teach our children. They need it for emergencies, certainly, but not for day-to-day spending. You have to teach them
Mm-mm.
different ways, teach them habits like you are. And that's great that what you're doing with your two kids.
Well, let's hope I can stick to it. I mean, that's the sad part. And all I do when Brooke will be like, I can't believe you're yelling at me for another pair of jeans because have you looked in your room? I go, well, that's part of the problem. Someone should have been a little more forceful with me. Like, I'm trying to show you like how to do this. And maybe you should start to sell your stuff on these websites
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can do it like as a young kid and figure it
Right.
out. But it's very interesting. So both of us probably say in a meeting of whatever sort, whatever part of my career, you never leave a meeting without an introduction, right? When
Mhm.
I do it with donors, I would love to go tell someone else the story of Help Us Adopt, because I think 9 out of 10 people want to hear about it.
Mhm.
Maybe not give us money or support, but they might know someone else. It all leads somewhere because people all the time are like, no to me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, you can't talk to my friends. No, I don't want you talking to my friends. And I sometimes say, A, fine, but B, what have I ever shown you that I'm going to behave badly and shake them down as you are insinuating? And it doesn't feel good. What happens to you in a meeting when you ask for a referral?
Yeah, and you have to be very delicate about it, and you always ask at the time where it's most opportune, where they're feeling good about their things, and it's always about, hey, if you found value, how else do we bring value to your
Right,
friends and family? May not be getting it, but
right.
I have to say, what you do great. I love the books you send out every year
Mm,
about the families because you know what I think the preconceived notion of a lot of people that run a not for profit, not for you, but I've been around a lot of them. They treat their donors like an ATM, and
yes,
the donors feel that.
it's
Oh,
terrible.
she's going to ask. You don't do that, right? You tell the stories behind the donations and the impact those dollars, how little
That's
those
what you
dollars
help
make.
us do. That's without, you were at our gala in
Yeah,
April, and what
yeah,
was my speech about? I could stand
exactly.
up here and tell you how great our work is and how great I am and how great blah, blah, blah is. But without the donors and the people sitting at that dinner, the mission statement is just a mission statement. We're an empty office. We are people who are unemployed without donors believing in this. And it's the donors collectively who make the magic happen along with my vision. And it's so fun to make the world a better place. I mean, that's what's so nerdy about it all. Like, it's fun
Yeah.
to make the world a better place for someone. And sometimes it's a lot of money, and sometimes it's nothing, and sometimes it's just an introduction. But wait till you see the book I'm about to send you.
Oh, I can't
There's
wait.
something new in it that we've never had before.
And again, it's the same on our end. It's not about how much assets can we get under our umbrella.
Right.
It's like, what's the difference we can make in your life
That's
and
it.
the people
That's it.
around
That's
you?
it.
That's all that really matters. Numbers are numbers. I don't really care about
Yeah.
numbers. I care about what the numbers are going to do for you.
Yeah.
If I can
And
help your
so
dream
I think
become a
you're
reality, I love it.
I think like the ideal thing to talk about right here, seriously, is retirement. I think a lot of people have not done retirement properly for whatever reason. And unfortunately, now, whatever you thought you were going to retire with 20 years ago is not enough. It's not
Yeah.
enough because the world's on fire. I think that's embarrassing for people. But if they were to meet someone like you who treated it as a look, we're going to do the best we can with the time we have left, and no one's retiring at 65. I don't know a single
Yeah.
person. First of all, 65 is the new 35. So we all look and feel better than
Right.
our parents' generation. But, like, it's comforting to meet someone like you who doesn't make it judgmental, who makes it like, "Look, don't beat yourself up. It's done."
Yeah.
Like, how can we make some subtle changes for the future? And I think you're probably really good at that if a family or an individual were to come with you with a problem, but I don't think they'd want to initially.
True. Again, getting back to that, what we talked about earlier, nobody wants to face the reality of where they are. And doesn't matter if someone comes to me with 10 million or a million, they all feel like they don't have enough money. So the first thing
Yeah.
we have to do is give them confidence and understand that they can lead the life they want to lead, but you have to take control of it. And sometimes you can't do it on your own because it is very emotional. So you need guidance. And we try to be that steward over their wealth and be the guide that they don't necessarily have in their life. And when we can impress that on them, again, things change. But you have to put things on paper. You got to face the
Yeah.
reality of where you are. You
Yeah.
can't avoid it. Or again, it
Yeah.
gets too late. You can't turn back.
Yeah. The funny thing is with money and philanthropy, first of all, my rule of thumb, even for me and anybody who works for me, is it doesn't matter how much money that person has, it doesn't make it ours. That's the first rule. And you have to earn it. You have to earn a donor coming to you and saying, I'd like to give you something, whether it's $100 or 100,000, like we have to earn their trust as much as you have to earn trust
Absolutely.
and make sure that the money's actually doing what the donor thinks it's doing. But my question is this: I think deep down inside, everybody wants to be philanthropic, but it comes back to this same thing that we were just talking about. It's like, I only have $50 to give you, and they're embarrassed. And I'm like, that's amazing. Do you know how many $50 donors we have? Like, they're building blocks. You're a building block. We're going to build a grant with you and some other friends, and you're going to build a family. We've made it so that everybody gets to play in the impact of the work that we do. I always try to coach people, whether it's our organization or somewhere else. If a nonprofit makes you feel, same way with a financial planner, that your money isn't enough, you're with the wrong person. You're with the wrong nonprofit, because the right nonprofit and the right financial planner would want to be with you for you and the heart factor, right? Like, so
Yeah.
how do we get that message out to people that they can understand that it's all good? It's all
Yeah.
good.
It's funny. We walk in so many parallel paths, right? I think we've let philanthropy get hijacked by the image of a name on a building. That image quietly tells everyone else this isn't for you. But it's never been about the size of the gift. It's all about the intention behind it. You don't need extraordinary wealth to have extraordinary impact.
Yeah.
You need clarity in your future. You need clarity in your plan, and then we'll build things around it. And you don't have to be a billionaire, multimillionaire to have a financial advisor. But I sometimes think people feel, well, if I don't have millions, an advisor's not going to work with me, to your point. But it's all about, again, how do we bring value to the relationship, all according to what you view as your value?
Tell me about your books. Why did you want to write books? Because that's sort of a funny alter ego for a money guy.
The first book, Getting Off the Street, I truly wrote it because in 2000, when I decided to leave Smith Barney, after living through the dot-com bubble and watched my clients lose the vast majority of their wealth, not because I did anything wrong, but because I listened to what Smith Barney told me to put the clients in. Then I learned they only did that because they were making huge fees off that. I
Yeah.
went home one night and said to my wife, I love what I do, but I don't love doing it this way. So that's when I took a huge risk by myself with triplets, two who had autism, and said, I'm going to do this, but do it from my heart, not from my wallet. So I wrote that book to talk about why I left Wall Street and the difference of working with someone that works with a captive Wall Street firm versus an independent person. Not saying they're not great advisors at those firms, but the motivation is very different. My only motivation is working for my clients. I'm not working for a stock price. I'm working for my clients. And then the second book, The Kindness Portfolio, which I did just last year, to talk about really kindness. People think there's no place for kindness and money. Quite the opposite. Kindness is the number one thing that grew my practice, being kind to others. And I think kindness is one of the most valuable assets we have and one of the most underutilized assets we have. So that whole book is how you use kindness to create wealth.
And it's free to be kind. I mean,
So
I am
easy.
always amazed. I said in my introduction that people write the narrative for me. Like, it's mean. I would like to think after 19 years of Help Us Adopt, my reputation speaks for itself. Unfortunately, not. Just even like 2 years ago, there was this person who's very involved, another woman who's very involved in the adoption world in a different way. And she said to me on the phone, she goes, I really love talking to you. It's just such a pleasant surprise every time I talk to you. And I go, how so? And she goes, because you look like you should be having lunch at a country club and playing pickleball.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think that's offensive to pickleball players, is how I said it. And we hung up the phone. Like, are we kidding? Like, how is this? Just keep moving. I don't know why people stop to say stuff that just isn't nice. And I don't know. I even talk to my kids hate it, but the people on the street who are like with a charity or trying to get you to give $20 a month or whatever on the street. And I always, instead of just walking by them, I say, I already work for a nonprofit. You got a hard job today. Good luck. Because they do have a hard job today. I do work for another nonprofit and good luck. It's just, and other people are rude to them. You watch it happen on the street. Do you
Yeah.
think people read your book and take it into advice? What do you think?
Listen, I've gotten great comments from people who read the book, but you're also going to always have those skeptics. Like, yeah, he's writing the book just to get more clients. There's always going to be those people behind, no matter what you do and no matter what you say, because that's how they were
Well,
brought
that's
up,
it.
and
That's it.
they know no other way, and that's got them through life. And I guess they feel it's made them whatever they are today. But it's so true. To be kind is so easy. And it just
It's
makes
so easy.
everyone feel good. It makes everyone feel good, not just you, but everyone around
That's it.
you.
That's it. And it's so funny because, so back to the money thing, back to the money. Let's talk about this for a minute. So people always say to me, seriously, when we have these discussions, I'm like, why can't you introduce me to someone? Because I have some very interesting examples of how introductions have been tremendous. Like, I have a friend in a different state who I only met through Help Us Adopt. I've met once in 19 years. And they said to me, like, I'm just so embarrassed. I can't give you any money. I'm really supportive. They've had bumps in their road. Like, everybody's had bumps in their road
Sure.
in the last 19 years. And I said, this was like 40 years ago. I said, I think you're looking at this the wrong way. Who do you know? It's not always about the money. I know that you know people I don't know because I barely know you and you barely know me. But like,
Mhm.
there's something we like about each other, right? And he likes the
Right.
cause. His one introduction, $900,000.
Yeah.
When I called him, he started crying.
Yeah.
All he did was sell his friend. I think you might like what this woman in New York is doing. Have a call with her. And that was it. And he changed many lives with that one introduction. And like, this is it. But people think, they say, you can't handle the word no, is what
Hmm.
people say to me. Do they say that to you too?
Well, yeah, they figure that you can't get this far
And
without
I
taking some
said,
no's along the way.
there's two things. First of all, I have a friend, Wendy, who is, Wendy laughs because Wendy listens to my podcast. She'll be like, you used me as an example again. Wendy is a very good friend, loves what I do. Because of her parents, she has other organizations that she supports wholeheartedly with her financial philanthropy dollars. And I love her for that because she's in it there. It's meaningful. And that's a no I can handle because she is doing her part to change the world and something that means something for her.
Hmm.
And what I don't love is when people tell me that the reason they can't give anything, even $100, is because they just bought a brand new Mercedes. I mean, well, should have kept to yourself because it does only sometimes take $100 to change someone's life. The third thing is a no. My book usually means not yet, not now.
Hmm.
And because you're kind about it, you then build the relationship and some great things have happened because you're in for the long term. So like, well, how do you deal with that kind of
Yeah,
thing? Because
it's it,
you've got
it,
to
it
have the same exact thing happen to you.
yeah, Becky, doing this almost 30 years, I've built a long list of contacts. And I wish I could say, oh, they all become clients, but they certainly don't. But they are a permanent place on I do a weekend blog every weekend, one story. That's basically it. And I've had same people on my list for years. And sometimes literally 8 years after I met them, they say, this article really stuck with me. I think I'm ready to reconnect with you. So to your point, I no just means maybe one day, just not now.
Yeah.
And if you took no as a real no and just left it, you can't grow as a person. Forget about growing a business.
It is.
You need to be able
Yeah.
to do it.
It is. It's interesting. I have had a few calls recently with people to thank them for their support, people who I didn't really know very well. And I just said, I want to know about where else you give, what motivates you, why you choose us. Sometimes it's just because someone else asked. They really don't care what we do, which it's sort of a catch 22 with that. I'm grateful, but that's not like anything interesting. But, it's what boards are they on? Why did they join those boards? And like, the greatest questions, the greatest answers, the greatest reasons why they're like, you know what? Someone asked me to get involved in your work, but I had no idea what you did. And
No.
then I watched my brother adopt children. And that's why I upped my donation to you. Like, so you just never know. I mean, it is about building
Yeah.
relationships. And I don't think people always say, well, you have an ulterior motive becoming friends with people. I go, no, I just like people and their details. I always have liked people and their details. I want to know the story. Like, did you play tennis in college? Because, oh, I played tennis. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
did your cousin go to Franklin and Marshall? Oh my God, I went to Franklin Marshall. Like, there's always a human connection to make. And when you're in our roles professionally, sometimes that gets misinterpreted. I've learned to shrug my shoulders at it all now, but it's a real problem of
Yeah.
how people make that
Yeah.
sort of judgment call for you.
Yeah. And you can't fake caring. You
No.
maybe can fake it for a little while, but you can't fake it for the long term. And people will see right through you very quickly. But once they really understand that you truly, truly care, that's where you have a friend or a donor or a client for life.
So, one of the things I want to talk about with you, I don't think we had this on the list. I told you I was going to come up with something.
Mhm.
I know we've talked about this, but as a woman, women in the world, maybe for the first time, my generation, maybe a little older than me, but really for the first time, have their own money. And we have careers. We have careers that some people have careers. I know women who out earn their husbands, who the husband then stays home as a stay home dad.
Mm.
Roles have really changed. Gone are the days of women not being able to get credit cards. And it became a very interesting niche that I saw of women then going into finance to be like, well, no one understands a woman like a woman. But you do a very good job of your marketing to women and the understanding. And I don't know, maybe this is because you have a daughter. I have no idea. But can we talk about it? Because I think it's a really important topic. It really is because a lot of women get dismissed by men. And even when they have careers, I sometimes get patted on the head by some
Mhm.
people walking by, which is really rude. But you guys have a very good sort of demeanor about this. And it's real, right? I
Yeah.
know it's real with you, it's
Yeah.
not faked.
Yeah. We have a program called Life by Design, and it's exclusively for women in transition. And one of the reasons why we started is because we recognized that every time a woman came to us for the first time, they came to us after a life-changing event happened. And they all felt unprepared, very anxious, very nervous, didn't even know the questions to ask. So we wanted to create a program to kind of be able to speak to these women well before a life transition happened. So they felt better prepared. They understood the questions to ask. They just felt more in control of their finances. And Becky, like you mentioned, let's face the facts. Over the next decade, the shift of wealth from male to female is probably the biggest shift we're ever going to see in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's a need to educate women the right way. Because what I found, if you don't, for the most part, they'll keep their money in a bank because they feel it's safe and it will never grow for them. And in 10 years, they'll say, wow, I just don't have enough money to survive anymore. So we never want someone to be in that position. Yeah. So our Life by Design brings women together exclusively to feel comfortable, to talk, to engage, and to socialize. It's not always just about numbers,
Yeah.
but it's certainly about creating an atmosphere everyone feels comfortable and safe.
Well, it's interesting. Talk about a road show. I do think maybe you and I should go on a road show
Sure.
because you're never going to believe what I'm about to say. So I talk a lot in different cities. I go and just do a sort of a panel on my story of my career and how I ended up running a nonprofit, how I got here, my trouble having kids, blah, blah, blah. And I would have to look it up. It was in LA, and Natalie Morales was there at the event and interviewing me. She's a friend of mine and a friend of the organization's. And at the end of the talk, and I sort of interviewed her back, which is always fun to interview the queen of interviewing. That was pretty fun. And she has an amazing career and has had children, et cetera, et cetera. And someone had brought their intern to the talk. A 21 or 20-year-old girl was back in California for, I guess, I don't know why she was there, but she was going to go back to Notre Dame and graduate. So she was, as I said, oh, so you're not so bright, was what I said, laughing. And she's like, yeah, not so bright. And for those of you listening, I tried to have a child at 31 the old fashioned way, and it didn't work. And after all these rounds of IVF and pregnancies and miscarriages, I adopted my first child when I was 35 and a half. And she asked me this: if you could go back to your 26-year-old self, because that's how old I was when I got married, would you do it differently if you knew what you knew? And I said, absolutely not. I didn't miss a beat. And she said, I don't believe you. And I said, I'm going to tell you why. Because I would have thought I could beat the system. I wouldn't have believed you. There's no way I would have believed you. I would have said, my 26-year-old self would have said, I'm the hardest worker you've ever, I have some money. I'm going to be fine. That's not going to happen to me. I'm
Right.
like, there's no way. And I go, why are you asking this question? She goes, because we're being told we have to choose. And I'm like, choose what? Career or motherhood? I go, so why are you in college? To meet a husband. I go, are we back here? And she's like, we're back here. And now all they're doing is telling young women to freeze their eggs for all of this. And my point full circle is this: it all comes back to money. It all comes back to money. It all comes back to, oh, first of all, if you're going to have children, you need money. So
Mhm.
there's that. And why should women give up their careers? Like I
Yeah.
told my girls, I'm like, you can have it all. What did Oprah say? You can have it all, but you can't have it at the same time. And what would you tell young girls graduating from, you have one? What do you tell her and her friends? Like, they shouldn't have to choose. They just
No.
have to prioritize maybe ones, and who knows? But this is a terrible message we're sending young women.
I agree, and the one thing I really do try to teach my daughter is, to gain her own self of independence. Listen, if you get married, great, I'm all for it. I want you to, but don't feel that that's your life mission, right? Your life mission is to be a complete person, whatever that person is. You have to find yourself and then be that person and be happy with that person, and don't let other people get you down by what they say or do or act. You're your own person, and you will find yourself and continue to follow your own path, nobody else's.
And I told my girls, because I now at my age have friends who did give up their career. And now I just had a talk, I think this weekend, with a friend who's like, I'm really scared about what's going to happen in 2 years because her youngest child is going to leave. She was, and that was her words. I'm really scared about what's going to happen to me. I never gave up my career because I'm not wired that way to be a stay-at-home mom. I think it's the hardest job in the world. I have so much respect for that. Not wired, always honest with my kids about why I didn't do it. But I now, older and wiser, tell my girls, I'm like, here's the deal. Again, same thing about marriage. You do it or you don't, whatever.
Right.
It's changed. And I don't care if you marry someone with more money than God,
Mm.
you always protect your own. You never give up. If you have a career, keep it. Keep it. Maybe not 80 hours a week if that's
Right.
what changes, but like, don't just not do it anymore.
Right.
Always have that protection for yourself. Like, I
Mhm.
think that's very sound financial advice. And I see it all the time with people. I'm now 56 who really gave up everything and now feel I didn't think this through.
Yeah.
It's not that they regret staying home. Who could regret staying home with their kids?
Right, raising a
No one
family, right.
No one regrets that.
Right.
That is, it's not that. It's the now what. They didn't think
Mhm.
about now what.
Mhm.
So I love your conversations with families and kids, and your daughter really should go on a road show with you to colleges of now what? Like,
Yeah.
think it through. Like, think
Mhm.
through what you want your money to do for you.
Yeah,
Why do you want
absolutely.
a career? It's because I want to travel the world. Well, there you go.
Yeah. We're all motivated by something, right? So
Yeah.
let's find what that motivation is and then go for it and do it. I think more and more women, young women, are recognizing that, and we're seeing it because I will tell you this: we have so many clients' children, the daughters, I should say, on their own reach out to us
That's
and
great.
say, I know my mom and dad's with you. Can you give me some advice on, do I do a Roth? Do I do a regular basic
That's
stuff?
great.
But they want to learn. They want to
Yeah.
know. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Brooke, so my youngest daughter is 16. She's going, and we're going to have time for one last question, but this is really cool because I don't see it very often or hear about it. Public school in New York City, going into junior year, and really got to choose classes this year, which I thought was very interesting. And my junior year, I think we got told what we were going to say. And she's like, well, there's this one class that I don't want to take. I'm like, well, what is it? She was financial literacy. I'm like, sign up.
Oh, wow.
I go, sign up. That's the most important thing you could take next year. And I want to see everything that is talked about. That is fascinating.
That's
And she's like,
wonderful.
I don't really want to take it. I go, take it. That's the most important thing you're going to sign up for.
Yeah.
And she's like, Mom, I'm like, ask your father.
No.
He's going to agree with me. Ask your father. Like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So there's hope, maybe, Charlie.
That's great. That's great.
If someone is listening to this, talk to me. Like, you're in New York area. Do you work with people across the country? Is it limited to who can work with you? All that kind of stuff?
Not necessarily. We do have clients throughout the country. California, I go a couple times a year. We have clients all over there. But again, for me, It's not about how much money you have. Getting back to some of our original points, it's what do you want that money to do for you?
Yeah.
What do you want it to do for your family? And if I could play a role in that, I'm happy to do so. We just have to understand what that is. But just don't talk to me about money and returns. Talk to me what's what going to
Yeah.
make you happy and your family happy.
Yeah, and the bottom line is this, like anything else in life, there's no quick fix. There's no
No.
easy answer. There's no shortcut. It's a really horrible thing to learn in life that there's just no shortcuts, period.
Yeah,
There's just
and I tell clients, getting back kind of to the philanthropic thing, I talk to clients a lot about planning for legacy, and I'm a big believer in I'd rather give with warm hands than a cold heart
yeah.
to see the impact that whatever my dollars can do for my whether it's my children or not for profits. I try to really impose that on so many of my clients to think about doing that and the impact that they will have
Yeah.
to so many different people with the wealth that they've been able to generate and build.
From your experience and your over 30 years of doing this, like what would you say goes hand in hand from your financial management to your philanthropic management? Like how do the two merge together?
Over the last 10 years, more wealth has been created because of the stock market than any time before. Now, because of that, you have so many what we call embedded gains, right? And people don't want to sell because they don't want to pay capital gain tax. But one of the greatest ways to avoid capital gain tax is donating highly appreciated stock to a charity. And you can get income back from doing that donation, not only a write off, but you can get lifetime income through things called charitable remainder trusts. And it's a huge part of our planning aspect. And I think it's going to become more and more of a bigger part of planning because, as I said, there's more wealth that's created. And really, one of the most effective ways to reduce taxes is through charitable planning.
Amazing. Now, see, there's something to learn every day. It's
Yeah.
all good. It's all great. Well, you are such a fabulous guest, and I'm so grateful to have you as a friend and someone I can count on. And thank you for being here.
I feel the same. Thank you, Becky, for everything you do.
Yeah. So, if someone's listening to this and wants to check you out, or wants to call you, or wants to see if you really are such a nice guy, which I promise you he is, it's not a facade. How do they find you?
We have a website, yourpathways2wealth.com. And you can always phone number 631-777-1030. I always say this, we're here as a resource first. If we can be that resource for anyone, feel free to pick up the phone and give me a call.
Any words of wisdom you'd like to leave us all with? Like one final thing that I missed?
I would say never become complacent. I don't care how old you are, there's still life ahead of you and go after it.
30 Seconds with Becky Fawcett. So this morning, before I recorded this episode of the Fawcett Report about money with Charlie Massimo, I did 30 Seconds with Becky Fawcett in my feed about how excited I was to talk about the Mac Daddy Awards that no one wants to talk about, that everybody thinks is the biggest taboo. And I don't think it's a great approach. Let's say that. And here's why. Charlie talked about things being shameful and secretive, like when people make bad money choices or realize that they haven't done the right thing for retirement or college or whatever it might be, and they're embarrassed and ashamed. You got to wipe that to the side. It's the same thing with helpusadopt.org. Like we've built this organization where it's okay to ask for financial help. I lived it. I had to ask for financial help. It's not a proud moment. And why is that? Because we're trained that it's not a proud moment. We're trained by society that it's not something we talk about. And I don't think it's okay. I just don't. You need money every day to live. And, there's generations behind us who need to learn how to talk about money and all these things. So let's try to change the narrative on why talking about money. I get it. We're not going to run out and talk about some ridiculously expensive pair of sneakers. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the topic at all. And sometimes, as I say, you can talk about money and its power to change the world and make someone's life better. And as Charlie said, sometimes you can talk about money and your earnings and your savings on how it can help you achieve what you want to achieve in life for yourself and for your family. So I hope I'll keep talking about it. Maybe people will start listening. And quite frankly, doesn't matter. I'll keep talking. 30 Seconds with Becky Fawcett. Thank you for listening to the Fawcett Report. I really hope after you heard that talk about money, that you see the world a little differently today. And maybe you'll use your voice to make a difference and talk about money in a positive way, in an impactful way, and in a way that could maybe help someone. You can follow the Fawcett Report on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and you can message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I will respond as long as you aren't mean, because I don't do mean. You can disagree with me, but don't be mean. And finally, if you're curious about my adoption, advocacy, and family building work through helpusadopt.org, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, as well as the website. See you next time.